Hello everyone, welcome to Super Air. My name is Yorke. Hope you're keeping well. I've got two special guests tonight. I've got Charles and Barry. We're here at Victoria Falls, so catching up on the Ayr United season and just a wee chat about this trip as well. So, first of all, Charles, how are you feeling today? Enjoyed the trip so far?
Yeah, great day, great trip overall. I can't complain. It's been a great day. I'm enjoying myself. Yeah.
And Barry, how are you feeling today? Had a good trip?
Oh yeah, it's been fantastic. It's a very interesting day as well for a number of reasons. The trip away, Victoria Falls was absolutely superb, I must admit. So, yep, we're just sitting chilling at the bar in the hotel,
Good.
very relaxed now.
Best way to be. So what I want to do is a wee look over Ayr United's season that's just passed, a wee chat around that, and get our own views from a few fans here about that. So obviously United started off like a train, Charles, beginning of the season. I think one of the highlights was that 5-0 win home to against Airdrie. And then we had that goal when we lost Anton Dowds to injury. Did you think that sort of derailed the season at that point?
Well, to begin with, I was pretty lucky to have watched a couple of games in Scotland. One at Somerset Park and the other one at Dunfermline. And I would say the beginning was just great. It promised so much. In my opinion, I felt last season was going to be our season. I had so much high hopes rather of seeing us going up and probably playing the next season in the Premiership. But well, it wasn't to be. And in football, we always have three results: it's either a win, a draw, or a lose. So it wasn't our season, and we can just hope for the best as we come to the 2025-2026 season. Yeah, um, hopefully it will be a good one, and uh, I'm really upbeat, and I'm sure something tangible will still come up. Considering the fact that we've played two out of three in the playoffs. I think that's not bad. It's a clear indication that there's some sort of vision that the club has at the moment. And hopefully, we shall see something tangible and something good by the end of this coming season. Yeah.
Good. Well, Barry, I think it was a relatively successful season for most United fans. We finished third. We were 10 points behind Falkirk and 7 behind Livingston. I mean, what do you think was the difference with these 7 points or 10 points at the end?
I think a number of factors. We really started off on fire. Quite honest, we looked sublime at times. We really did. Just a constant goal threat. Jay, young Dylan round the wing, some great interpassing, balls getting played early into the box, but players looking up,
Mm-hmm.
picking out the pass, great movement for George Oakley at the front post, big Anton, and then bang, Anton goes down. Kind of fast forward, it took us a few weeks to regroup. Mikey Devlin comes into the team, all of a sudden we're a different beast again. He really was. He was really instrumental in us putting that run back together again. Uh, Up to the Falkirk game, we were 2-0 up. Just about half time, concede a goal, ends up 2 each. Okay, fair enough. But over the weeks before that, we clawed back so many points against Falkirk. I really still thought at that point the momentum was with us, and I genuinely thought at that point we could win the league. Genuinely thought that as well. But then, for one reason or another, of course, we lost Big Mikey. You know, things changed defensively, but our confidence started to seep out the team. We all know about the goalkeeper situation as well, which wasn't the best. To be honest with you, I think that created uncertainty in the back line. In fact, I'm sure it created uncertainty in the back line. Chop changed the goalkeeper, uh, and then we just ended up really just bits and pieces of form, losing games, and then we kind of picked it up again. We beat Queen's Park away 3-2 after, being 2-0 down. I thought, right, okay, we can move on for this, but it just never really happened. And what was really annoying for me was that it was poor performances. It looked as if we were struggling to turn it around. and then we're still in with some form of shout for second place. We got to Livingston and just oh, capitulated. Capitulated. That Friday night was an embarrassment. It really was.
Yeah. I was looking at our last 9 games, Charles, and we only took 9 points in the last 9, and finishing sort of 7 away from Livingston and 10 away from Falkirk. That was a bit of a blow at that point. Um, do you have any sort of views on the season as a whole? Do you think if you could change anything, would you change anything that happened in terms of formation or personnel, or what would you have done if you were Scott Brown? Would you have done anything different?
Well, being Scott Brown should be a very difficult, thing to be. But if you looked at to begin with, we had a somewhat solid goalkeeping situation. We had a solid goalkeeper. I think Harry Stone did pretty well before he picked up some injury. And I think a good backup was there as well, not the match. But the situation as it could be, you might never know, what happens in the training grounds. But when it also comes to the defensive setup, I feel the the three playing three at the back really worked for us to a certain point, and I think it was a bit difficult to change. Playing Scott McMahon from the center, taking him to the left back. I think much as he's naturally a left back, I think he did pretty well as a centre half. I think he did pretty well. So really, if I was Scott Brown today, I would say I would really stick to one goalkeeper because if you entrust your goalkeeper, you give the goalkeeper that much confidence. You give them the trust. He will definitely do something wonderful. And if you also solidify your defense, um, it is also something that is very important. Good strikers are going to win you games,
Yeah.
but a good and solid defense will win you a league. So I think that's one principle that we need to, think about, and probably if the coaching staff could also try to look into that, and possibly, just try as much as possible to simply, come up with one tangible lineup that you would know to say this is a lineup that will play. Even as you wake up, you know to say, okay, today is Saturday. Ayr United will be playing Livingston or Rose County or whichever team. We should actually be able to know that this should be our first, 11, as opposed to today you have 6 players from the winning starting lineup missing. I think this had an impact in our 2024-2025 season, and probably if Scott Brown and his charges would work towards that, I think it would do us some good.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Charles. I think so. That's sort of 3 key points. I think of from my own personal opinion where we went wrong. One was injuries, which again can't really they come and go. You know what I mean? And I think we took crucial injury to Anton Dowds and Mickey Devlin, who were 2 key players in the lineup at key times in the season. I also don't think chopping and changing the team, Barry, helps. They're changing the team all the time. Um, I don't think that helps a settled lineup. And finally, you touched on it earlier, was the goalkeeping situation. I think we just used too many goalkeepers. We didn't seem to trust a number one goalkeeper. So if you're Scott Brown, what would you be looking to do to change if you're learning from this season? What would you look to change for next season?
Well, I think it's been well documented, pretty much. Even by yourself or others within the club, that we need to get as a priority a number one goalkeeper. That's an absolute must. The goalkeeper is the rock. He's the anchor of your team. He needs the trust of the manager. Your central defenders, your defenders in front of him need to know they can trust the goalkeeper. They build up a relationship, they build up a way of communicating. Uh, and I think suddenly bringing in Josh Clark, who by his own admission in his interview hadn't played a single competitive game that whole season, to suddenly be thrust into the championship. I just thought the whole thing was bizarre, to be honest with you. I really do. So that's the one thing. He needs to, get a number one anchor there. We've just signed David Mitchell for Partick Thistle. Am I convinced he's the guy? Not really. But that could be said. He's maybe one of a couple of goalkeepers we might going to sign. They might still be in the market for a number one. Who knows how it's going to pan out? That absolutely. And I think a lot of times there was too much emphasis on how they perform in training. That's fine. Every player is duty bound to perform in training, but you've got to remember as well that such and such was a wee bit off the pace in training today, made a couple of mistakes. Then you're saying, but wait a minute, this is a guy I know when I put him in part Saturday. I can rely on him. So I think it's not all just about training. I think there's too many stats involved in football now that they're monitored right, left, and centre. Training, they've got their vests on, their GPS. Oh, such and such. He ran 5% less than he did last week, and should he be in the team? I don't think that's. It's in some ways it seems to be overcomplicating itself as well. So okay, our goalkeeper maybe didn't train well during the week, and it's like, well, that's because he made a mistake on Saturday and he was kind of publicly pilloried for it.
Yeah.
So his confidence is maybe taking a bit of a hit. Yeah. The goalkeeping coach is there to build that back up. The other players will put their arm around them. Players are protective of their goalkeepers as well. Has the goalie coach got an opinion that the manager will listen to? A bit unsure about that, to be honest with you. But you need to keep your goalkeeper up there, confidence level wise. So getting back to your initial question, absolutely, goalkeeper. Thinking about not changing the formation too much.
Yeah.
Have the kind of set up whereby 3-5-2, certainly for big chunks of last season, worked an absolute treat for us. When Mikey was in the team, probably Paddy Redding was at his best. He really was. The right hand side, Nick, probably slightly more beneficial. Him in that role as the pitches started to get a bit trickier as well. I think that's when Dylan maybe started to lose a bit of form, just because the ball didn't run smoothly. It was harder to dictate. He was maybe making the run in behind, but be it whoever, Jay or Ben, they're trying to hit with the pass, and it's just not getting there just because the pitch is having an impact on it. So a number of things like that. But a 3-5-2, players that can just slot into that position if somebody's injured, somebody has got a slight dip of form, rather than a complete formation change. I think we need that. Goalkeeper, consistency of selection. I think it's key to it.
Yeah.
And dare I say, a massive break with injuries, which two monumental injuries had a huge bearing on what happened, without a doubt.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, overall, Charles, a third place finish for Ayr United. Signs are looking good, although we're sort of nitpicking at where can we get better to take that next step. There was obviously points we dropped against Livingston and Partick and Morton that maybe lost us that ground at a difficult time of the season. Maybe just a lot of the guys are under contract for next season as well, which is a positive. Also, so are you optimistic going into next season that with 2 or 3 additions that Ayr can challenge right at the top this season?
Yeah, so I think for starters, I think it's very important for us to also understand that football shouldn't be an individual game. Football is a team game, and maybe just getting back to what we were just talking about in terms of changing formations and changing the team lineups more often. I think it's giving us some sort of some sort of maybe thought that football is an individual game, and much as we continue, changing the first lineup, it's giving an impression that perhaps the reason why we're getting these results could be because of this particular player and this other particular player. And I think it's very important for us also think about that even as we discuss these matters. So I'll give you a practical example of Anton Dodds. I think he played pretty well. He scored in almost all the games that he played. And such a deadly guy in the box. But I think if we are to individualize football, I think it will be so difficult for us to pick up when we're hit by injuries, like the situation was, because it really took a bit of time for our strikers to start scoring after Anton got injured. I think it's also important for each and everyone in the team to realize that they have got a responsibility. The responsibility should be to play for the team, to play for the badge, to play for the fans. And yeah, even as we're going to be having new players coming on board, they should really have that at the back of the mind to say they are not there to play for themselves, but they are there to play for the badge. They're there to play for the team, and of course to play with pride and with a desire to do something, to win. Yeah. So if I was to suggest what position would need some sort of reinforcement, I would say we need a good goalkeeper, and a good backup goalkeeper as well. Uh, with the departure of some players such as Frankie, I think we also need some high-profile defenders, good centre halves, not just any other centre half just because they could be good somewhere, but a defender with that caliber, and a caliber to really play at that stage. And many times we do take things for granted that okay, we're playing the second tier, but in my own opinion, if anything, the championship is such a very difficult, competition altogether because you find these hungry guys, these guys that are still having this, desire to win something, desire to do something big. They're found in the championship, and make no mistake, if we are to sign another player just because we are able to sign, I think we'll be shooting our own legs. But it's very important for us to get an experienced kind of defender, a player that is going to withstand pressure. When when the occasion comes to us, like the situation was last season where we play in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. And when we really needed that character to show, we couldn't. We ended up allowing 2 goals, and in the very dying minutes of the game, we were a bit complacent, and we ended up losing the game. And there we are. We couldn't go any further. So I'd say we need a good defender, um, maybe two, a good goalkeeper, uh, as well as a striker. I think if we don't retain Anton Dodds, I think we need another striker with a proven track record to be able to carry the weight on their shoulders. Like Depot. I'll give an example of the way Depot really carried the weight of the team in the 2022-2023 season. I think that's the kind of striker that we should have. One with the mindset of winning, one with the desire to score goals, and someone who can just do the donkey work and able to give assists as well as score any part of their bodies. It could be their head, their left or right leg. So I think we need that. And I think we also need some creativity in the midfield. Um, when Marco Rose is at his best, I think we also do well. But when he's not doing well, I think we've seen how we struggle and how Ben Dempsey seemed to be struggling as well in the middle of the park. So I'd say we also need an experienced midfielder that could, you know, also do something, add some creativity there, someone who is able to play uh, at the back, who is able to defend as well as, go in front and help in the attack. I think that will be important.
Yes, I think we've agreed we probably need a few additions of quality in certain positions to go forward. I mean, would you say, Barry, that this is probably a big season for Scott Brown and Cian Whittaker to push on from where we've been?
I think it is. I think it is. What concerns me is a slight distraction for the club, and it could be, it could be related to budget. Is obviously we're looking at the new background that's been bought as well. Are some of the funds going to be slightly diverted away from the budget because it's going to take a lot of money? As the future of the club, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. It'll help us sign players, for the first team, the academy, dedicated training facilities, state of the art, absolutely marvellous. Maybe this season, are we going for it? I'm not so sure. They could be trying to get a third, fourth place. Maybe seen as keeping things kind of boiling along, keeping the fans with them as well. A lot of that depends on this. It's better like to talk about it because we really don't know who we're going to sign. To me, the first team squad, there's a lot of players in there. I think they're contracted. I think there's a good few of them are even going to get quoted. Some of them because of age. You young guys like Lucas. You've got Scott. You've got Hislop. You've got Kenzie Mitchell. I think he was at Auckland Light one day as well. They're not going to get anyone near the first team. If we want to be challenging in some shape or form, be it first, second, playoff place, are they going to get moved out on loan? I think so. Is that going to free up space? We're talking about no really too many big changes to the squad. I think if we don't make too many big changes to the squads, we could get ourselves into a little bit of bother. So I think, although we're looking at 3 and 4 signings, I think potentially that could become 5 or 6. But the standards are set. You cannot go back the way. And I could be completely wrong with the budget. It might be exactly the same as last season. But I'm hopeful. I'm definitely hopeful.
Well, you touched on the training pitch there. What's your views off field for the last season now we've progressed under Dave Smith?
Oh, it's phenomenal. The chairman's beyond reproach. It's fantastic. Back to the inception of the hub. These are all infrastructure projects that bring income streams into the club. The North Stand. Okay, the two infills are still to be done, but they focused on the bit that was going to start bringing income into the club. That's just sensible business. Okay, maybe we could do with get one of the ends finished, get new toilets up and running, etc., etc. You have got to think about the fans' enjoyment and comfort as well. But bang, get that up running, and you just see. I mean, they weren't shy about telling you how well it was going, how well the hospitality was going. Sold out for weeks and weeks and weeks before the end of the season. But there's a lot of stuff going on Monday to Friday during the day, conferences, all sorts of things as well. Building it up as a venue, absolutely first class. And then obviously, once it was revealed, probably the worst kept secret kicking about for the last couple of seasons. But once they go ahead for that, it really didn't take that long to get planning permission submitted as well, which again was really really quick. I don't think when David decides he's going to do something, he likes to hang about too much.
Yeah.
You know, uh, and they're all of a sudden got a planning application into the council. Absolutely hundreds of people sending in letters of support. I know they're looking for some exterior funding as well. David Smith's been up front, he's mentioned that. They're looking at funding for the SFA. Maybe some might come from private sources, but up to this point, it's fantastic. We're a changed club off the park. Right? Absolutely. Without question. Night and day. Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, infrastructure, Charles, is a big thing, isn't it? I mean, your visit to Scotland, you came to Somerset Park and you had a look around to see what was happening there. And we've got teams like Dunfermline, Raith Rovers, Partick Thistle, will sell a lot of season tickets. So we need to try and find ways of bringing in other income. So what's your thoughts about what's happening off the park at Ayr United?
Well, I've been watching quite a number of interviews. I think by Rob McLean and the chairperson, the chairman, David Smith. I think looking at the plans that are being put in place, what has been done so far, I think it's something that is very important for the club. Um, I was privileged to see the north stand that has been put up, and it's a marvelous one. It's, you know, sometimes I get to think to myself, really, quite a number of fans are full of complaints without realizing how much they have before themselves, before their eyes. Um, I would say, if I'm to be honest, there's just so much that is being done. I think on the club owners' end, but there's still a lot that can still be done by the club supporters themselves.
Yeah.
I normally look at the attendances, in other stadia. You find 7,000, 8,000, 10,000. But when it comes to Somerset Park, you find 3,500. It's really worrying because this is a team that is really doing well, and when you go to other club blogs, the way they speak highly of Ayr United, it's really amazing that the owners, the fans, Ayr United fans, seem not to appreciate what others are able to appreciate. So I think, besides that, the fans themselves have a lot to do, especially regarding um, the attendances, just being part and parcel of the club, the player fund. I think it's something that is very important. If many people are to come forward and be part and parcel of the player fund, I think it would really do the club some good. We wouldn't be talking about being limited in terms of resources to sign some players. If we had 75% of even those that just come for matches at Somerset Park, being part and parcel of the player fund, I think it would make a real, big impact. I don't know, but in my opinion, that would be a game changer. We would actually be poised to be able to sign quality players that would add some firepower to the club, to the team, to the squad altogether.
Player fund, Barry, it's a cause close to your heart, obviously. What's your views on it? And obviously, you're always looking for improvement there, but does it really make a difference?
Oh, absolutely. Huge difference. I mean, we're on target for 60 grand a year, getting put to the club, and that money is it's ring fenced. It can't be spent anywhere else. I mean, that could be, salary, signing on fee, getting somebody in on loan. That's exactly where that money goes. The fund board itself are all volunteers like myself. We've completely and utterly control what happens to it, how the money's brought in and how the money's passed over to the club on a kind of monthly basis. But over the last season and a half, it's grown exponentially. I mean, really, it's fantastic. I'd probably say we're now targeting 300 members. So there's been a whole host of initiatives as well. Uh, you sign up for the fund now, you'll get your name on the board as a fund member. Last season we were in the hospitality suite. I believe this season it'll also be in the hub. With the initiative, about a year or so ago, with the third strip, where if you were a fund member, you could get your name actually on that third strip as well. Uh, that was hugely popular as well. So we're always looking at initiatives. So the club are great as well. So, for instance, the last two seasons, the next season strip is released, 2 or 3 weeks before the end of the season, and then usually the last home game, that strip's worn by the team. Those jerseys are then, cleaned, given to the fund, and we then auction them off. And I think they raised over £3,000 for the auction just past there. So we're always looking to increase the membership because we know exactly where the money goes.
Yeah.
It's getting channeled down into the right resource within the club, and the club are absolutely delighted the way it's run as well.
Is it difficult to contribute? Are you looking at a lot of money? Or how little can you start from if people are thinking of joining the player fund?
No,
They
no,
might be put off by thinking about £50 a month or £100 a month.
no, it's nothing like that. There's various levels. It's really what you can afford.
Right.
You could set a target, but if we turn around and say it's a minimum £20 a month,
Yeah.
Which is only a fiver a week,
Yeah.
but maybe somebody can only afford £2.50 a week,
Yeah.
which is £10,
Yeah.
which is fantastic as that rolls on
Yeah.
over the
Well,
weeks and the months as well. But that can be compensated by somebody, maybe increasing their.
yeah.
So maybe if somebody says, well, so I'm not happy at £40 a month in it, so I'm going to put another £10 in.
Yeah.
So
So it's maybe you're really comfortable paying. There's no sort of
it's
minimum.
really it's going to be even easier to pay now as well because we've now got QR codes set up.
Right.
We've got somewhat cash machines as well. It's going to be easier to join up. Before it was kind of like standing order based.
Yeah.
But now, we're going to the QR code. Somebody can just scan it, boom, and it takes them straight to
Yeah.
what they need today. So I think that's going to be beneficial as well. We can also take one-off payments as well.
Right.
We get a number of them throughout the season. We've also got a really strong overseas contingent, and they pay on a kind of annual basis.
Okay.
Because it helps. They don't want to be paying transaction commission charges, on a monthly basis. So no, it's another a real positive for the club.
Yeah.
I must admit, and us guys and girls that are on the board as well, we take a lot of pride in it.
Definitely.
So
Quite right.
no, but we'll continue to grow that.
No, great. I mean, that's another income stream for the club, Charles. And we've obviously talked about hospitality, etc., bringing extra money into the club. And it'll be good to get more fans along to, as you say, to watch the games when they're doing so well. So now, just to finish off, I mean, what's your aspirations for United for the following new season?
Well, I think to begin with, it would be so great to see the club probably to think about the fans that could be far away from home. Um, seeing how best they could make it easy for fans, like in my opinion, us here in Zambia, to be able to watch the matches, you know, be it at home or away, uh, a bit easy
Right.
because it's been very difficult this past season to watch the matches unless the match is on BBC Scotland. Otherwise, it's been so difficult to catch these matches. So I think that's one area that I really love for the club to maybe take a look at and see how best it's easy for fans that are not at home to be able to enjoy as much as fans at home are enjoying. That's seeing the team play maybe week in week out, and also just hoping that some good signings will come to the fold, and just hoping that we'll keep the coaching staff intact, and probably add as many good players as possible, so that we'll be able to compete favorably. Like I always say, the championship is not an easy competition at all, because you have to meet the same team over and over, and they tend to master where you have the strengths and the weaknesses as well. So I'd say uh, I'm very much hoping that uh, the club would do well in terms of the market, the transfer market, as well as also ensuring that fans away from home are also considered. And that would be so incredible, so important. Yeah.
Thanks, Charles. And finally, Barry, what's your sort of expectations and aspirations for the new season? How would you like to see Ayr progress?
Well, top four's a must. The expectations are there, and I think we have to realise them. Top four is a minimum. Uh, I'll probably reserve judgment on where in that top four, until we see how the new signings pan out, who they are, who they're going to slot into the team, how strong the club is, more so for the start of the league season. So on that, I'll reserve my judgment. It might influence my thinking. I might go for top four to top one, top two. That's my hopes. That's absolutely my hopes. That we're in a good place. No question.
100% I agree. Well, thank you very much, Charles. Thank you very much, Barry. I hope you enjoyed that episode of Super Air. And that's all from me, Carl Yorke. Catch up with you soon. Thank you.